not. Let's try this again, guys. I know I just started without any mic volume here. So welcome back to CPM Zone. Sorry about that. You know, every stream, every once in a while has a little failure. I'm still trying to get used to this stuff. But anyways, so welcome back to CPM Zone. Last time I was here, actually no, that was barely Wednesday, right? It's only been a couple of days. I'm already forgetting. So Wednesday talked about the project I did when I was a PM, and we did a project at a medical facility, and it was in the psychiatric ward. So there was that. But this time we're gonna get into bid bonds. Now they're probably, I would say tomorrow or Monday, I'm gonna try to get out a video talking about bid bonds. So today I'm going to be talking about bid bonds here on the live stream. So those of you that might not be part of the public bid system yet or haven't bid any public projects yet, one of the major things that you need in your bid package is a bid bond. And the bid bond, essentially what it is insurance for the person that's putting the project out to bid. So pretty much the owner is this is their way of ensuring, covering their bid. So in the event that the person or the company, the entity, however you want to say it, presenting the bid is responsible, as in they're going to take the contract should it be awarded to them. So in this scenario, what we're talking about is that when you and your company are going to bid a project and you get a bid bond, essentially you're ensuring that if you're awarded the project, that you're going to be able to follow through in accepting the contract. So once again, the scenario is you decide to bid on a project. You go through, you get your bid together, you do all your estimating, you get your subcontractors and everything. And so then you put your bid package together, you meet all the bonding requirements, and you get your bid bond. And you turn in your bid package on the day or even prior, but then they go to the public bid opening. And so essentially when they do the public bid opening, they go through, they thumb through to make sure you have the requirements completed in order to even for them to accept your bid. So you have to have your bid bond. Sometimes they want a payment and performance bond up front, but usually they save that for the bidder who actually ends up being qualified or a responsive bidder. And then once they start going through the paperwork, when you submit your contract, when they issue you a contract and you accept it, then usually at that point you turn in your payment and performance bonds. So, but the whole thing is that you need your bid bond to be part of that bid package when you turn it in, and when they open it, it needs to be completed. And as long as there aren't any errors on it, usually if you have a bid bond and everything is good, if you have a minor error here or there, for the most part, most entities will give you an opportunity to to correct it. Might be the title or the name of the project. You might have missed, or someone might have mistyped a project number on it. Small things like that. But we'll get at the end of this, I'll get to the story, and I'll tell you what some of the more important things that they're looking for when you submit your bid bond along with all your other paperwork. So, but let's keep going with the scenario. So you got everything, you turn it in, you're the lowest apparent responsive bidder. Different entities might, say that differently, whether they say you're a responsible bidder, a responsive bidder, that the apparent lowest responsible bidder, it's all kinds of semantics. It's all the same shit. So once the public bid opening is done and they say, let's say your firm is elected at the bid opening as the lowest responsive bidder. So then a couple of days might pass by as they go through to make sure they verify that you have all of your ducks in a row as far as the bid package goes. So then they'll contact you saying, hey, they'll send it out to you. They probably, I don't know if they send it. Some entities do send it to the other bidders, or they announce it, and it's up to the other bidders to find out, on their own, whether it's through their website or however they distribute out that information, the entity that's commissioning the project, however they announce it. So now that you have won the bid, they're awarding you the contract, and so when they send it over, now if for any reason your company decides that all of a sudden they can't manage the project, they can't, whether it's the management part, the administrative part, manning, the resources, if for some reason all of a sudden they can't, man the project, labor wise out in the field, their subs all of a sudden all drop out or something, and now you can't accept the contract, this is where the bid bond would kick in. What the bid bond essentially does is that if you pull out and you don't sign the contract, and now the entity needs to go out and bid this project again, the bid bond would cover the entity. They would come after your bond, so your surety would have to pay out whatever it cost the client, or the the entity putting out this project, or that had put out this project to bid. That bid bond would cover their expenses for putting that job out again. So essentially, if you decide that you can't man the job, whatever time and money that they spent from going through your paperwork and offering you a contract, all those labor hours, all that paperwork, the materials that they use, they can be compensated back all the way through to the point where they put it out to bid. Whatever whatever other monies that they spent and all that effort that they had, the labor, to get to the point where now it goes out to bid again. All of that. Now, if your company cannot afford to reimburse the entity for all that time and all the monies from the labor hours and the materials for them to get everything together again to put it out to bid, if your construction firm can't cover those costs, then they will go after your bond. Now, the surety has to pay out those costs. And obviously, you know what that means. That means they're going to come after you. The surety will now come after you for those monies. One way or another, it's going to come out of your pocket, any way you look at it. Of course, if you don't want to pay, the surety can take legal action and come after you that way. So the moral of the story is, don't be a dick and make sure that you can cover everything. Now, I understand that there's, I didn't mean it that way, guys, but I understand there's times when you're just, you're just financially strapped or resource strapped, and you're just not going to be able to, ban the project. And if it's reasons that are out of your control, it's very unfortunate, and it does happen. Don't get me wrong, it does happen. But if your construction company, if your firm just flat out says, you know what, we decided we don't really want to do this job, now you're just being a dick. And the company, whether it's the president or anyone else who now all of a sudden decided we just don't want to do it now. That is just really fucked up, guys. But it happens. But like I said, more likely than not, if for any reason they have to come after your bond, it's something that's going to be out of the company's control for one reason or another. But anyways, so that essentially, in a nutshell, is what the bid bond is for. Now, this is why the companies that are sureties, literally, and that issue bonds, they're literally construction insurance companies. I mean, a short and sweet, that's what it is. From the bid bond to the performance bond, which means that you're going to be able to actually finish the project per the plans and specs, so that you don't leave pretty much deficient work behind. That you're going to commit to, providing everything that is in the specifications and the plans, to make sure you get the right materials, and also that labor-wise, performance-wise, you're going to install it and leave it the way it was supposed to, per the manufacturer's specifications also. That's what the performance bond is for. And obviously, you've got the payment bond, which is for to make sure that all of the suppliers and laborers, subcontractors, and their laborers all get paid. That's what those bonds are for. And those are also very important when it comes to your surety and the entity and them coming after those bonds. If I can't remember, there's a period. A lot of times it's can be anywhere from 3 months to a year or even more, depending on the size of the project and the scope of the project. Your bond may have to be tied up for even longer, which really sucks. But when that's the trade-off as you increase the size of the projects and pretty much the bonding capacity that you take on, that your company, your construction company, or the firm that you're working for, even the design build firms also have these types of things. But of course, now you're talking about sureties that will insure 25, 30, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of bonding capacity. But the surety doesn't always have to take the brunt of the entire thing. What can also happen was that they partner up pretty much, and for certain scopes that they can actually do this. And this is also how joint ventures come about with construction companies and design firms, where they'll become a joint venture for just the one project to design build it between the constructor, or whether it's the general contractor or the construction management firm, and they'll partner up with a architectural or engineering firm in order to complete the project on a design build especially. So these are all very favorable for most of the parties involved, but that's what the surety is for. They provide pretty much the insurance that you're gonna be able to accept your contract when it's issued to you if you win the bid, and then to perform all of the work that is entailed for the price, pretty much for the price that you said and the schedule that you set. That's a performance bond. And then the payment bond is to make sure that everyone's getting paid. Once the entity pays whoever the main person is, or the main, the joint venture, whoever it is, once the entity makes that payment to them, then it is the performance bond will kick in if for any reason, though, the next person down the line that got paid, make sure that everyone else gets paid and the money is distributed the way it's intended to per the contract and the contract documents, which is the specifications. And that's usually when you have a large job. The larger the job, the more the trades, the larger the project, the more the trades you have involved, then the larger the specifications, because you're going to have, you might not have just concrete, and the reinforcing steel that goes with it, things like that. But especially if you, say you have a building, then you have finishes, but it's not just, drywall, paint, maybe, and flooring, glazing, probably. What else do we have? Maybe some tile. It could be, just a dinky little ceramic tile. It could be tile, quarry, or from a quarry. It could be what do you call it? Sandstone tiling. And I mean, you guys know all the different finishes that can happen. And it just covers everything, the performance bonds and the payment bonds for everyone, including the suppliers, guys, including your suppliers. So you got to make sure that the money, when you estimate, that you make sure you get everything covered, from paying, your surety, obviously, for the bonds that they issue, because they're not free, obviously, and they are also a business making money, but also insuring to make sure that you guys are going to perform, that you're going to honor your bid when it comes time to signing the contract, that you're going to perform and stick to everything that the document said, and that you're going to install and provide the correct labor and skilled labor to install the materials, and that you get those materials there. But also you're going to pay those people for their services and their materials, I should say. So that's the gist of why there's bonds, and especially they are required on the larger publicly bid public contracts because of that. And they need to make sure that they ensure that the person that, or the entity that they pick, gets the job done and pays everyone and everything, because they're protecting the taxpayer dollars. And as much as I really don't like the big, government to be and to drive up prices for labor when it's not necessary, but there's a public wage that needs to be paid. This is a way of ensuring that all of our tax dollars are actually being used to pay and get the job done the way it needs to get done. Now, of course, we've always heard those horror stories of even like that, the bigger well, maybe not the bigger, contractors that are in the public eye all the time, the McCarthy's and, what is it? The McCarthy's, Hensel Phelps, those guys. And I can't remember. There's another one. There's another huge something brothers that, gosh, for some reason, McMillan Brothers is sticking out in my head, but I'm pretty sure that's not right. That do projects that are international contractors that do projects all over the world, and there's pipeline contractors that work on, at the refineries and things like that all over the world, and a plant, literally the general contractors that build those plants, manufacturing entire plants. I got actually another story about that too. Also, another actually a company that you guys probably know, and you guys probably use their products one way or another. And they just expanded a I don't want to say a campus, but they just are in the process of expanding one of their largest plants to be even larger than that. And like I said, you guys probably use them on a daily basis. If not on a monthly basis, you guys will probably use them on a daily basis, especially if you do the estimating. And your estimators I know your estimators will know who these people are. And they make more than just what you use, by the way. And I'll let you know in a couple minutes here where I'm getting to that. But yeah, so that's the gist of it for the bonds, whether it's a bid bond, a performance bond, or a payment bond. And those are all, the sureties, have those so that they work together really, from the beginning to the end of the project. As you can, if you think about it, that's exactly what the bonds are covering. It's insurance from the beginning to the end of the project. And it's not an insurance for you as a, or your company as you're a PM at, or PE, or, anything else that you're working less than or below the president, CEO, or upper management. But the construction company you're working for, it's not to protect them. It's to protect the client at someone else's cost, obviously. So, like I said, that's the gist for the bid bonds. And now I'll be releasing a video pretty soon, uploading a video talking just about the bid bond and a couple of things to keep in mind when you are responsible for the bid bond, as this next story clearly shows that even upper management can make mistakes. So let's not make this a huge long story like some of my other stories, but the gist of it, because we don't even have to cover the construction. It's just up to the bid day, really. So we were taking a look at this. It was a public contract, or a public project that's coming out, public works project. And it's for a local city here from where we were based. And so actually there's two stories. So this one is the beginning of the story that ends miserably. The next story will be actually one where we almost failed miserably, but we actually snuck in there just at the, right there, just under the wire. And true story. You might not believe me, but it's a completely true story. So the first story is, so we're taking a look at, some projects to bid, and we're like looking at them, and okay, well, this one that, like I said, it's from a local city, that's very near us, so they put out their invitation to bid, and as we were digging through all the other invitation to bids for all the other public projects that are going on, or they're going to be going on, locally here in the county, we're looking, and we run across this one. Hey, this actually kind of looks like it's up our wheelhouse. So we take a look at it and discuss it, and yes, what are the risks, and all these steps eventually I'll be talking about or also making a video about. So just keep that in mind, guys. So we're sitting around, looking at, okay, what is entailed in this project? What do we need? The subs that we're going to need, kind of. And we tend to use a lot of the same subs as much as possible because they are very reliable when we can use them. We know we can count on them, especially if something goes wrong. We know they're there to work with us just as we're there to work with our clients and the owners, to make sure that we can get these issues solved so that we can stay on schedule. That's always a big thing with this company especially this company that I worked with. We were always there to solve problems and help. So anyways, we're looking at it. What are the risks? What for the schedule that they have, the scheduled start date that they want, where do we see ourselves as far as resources and our financials? So the decision was made to go ahead and bid this project. Let's take a look. Let's go ahead and purchase the documents, the construction documents. Let's dig through it and let's see if this really is something that we want to bid wholeheartedly. So, as at this time, I was still a PE. So, okay. And I was in charge of actually driving and getting the bid package to the bid opening and turn it in at, obviously before the bid time on that day so that we can, be in the running. So we get the contract documents. We're kind of looking it over and go, hey, this is perfect. This actually is great. And it's not too big of a job to limit our resources, and it won't stress our financials. Perfect. Excellent. So we start going. So my first task is to go through and get the information to the bonding company so that we can have that bid bond issued ASAP. Because especially like this, if we know we want to bid it, if it fits everything that everything that we do, and we have the resources, we go for it full force. So that's the first order of business. Get the information to the bonding company. So first thing, we got the contract documents, sit down, thumb through, there it is. And a lot of public entities actually give you the form that they want filled out. And then, you attach the bid bond to that form, and everything has to be signed. It has to be certified, stamped. We need to get what do you call it? When they actually impress their seal on the bid bonds, right? And the bid bond that they issue. No problem. Signatures and everything. Okay, cool. So get that, all the information. And actually our bonding company provided us with a sheet where we would fill in all of the information that was relevant to the project so that they could issue the bid bond. Sent it off, fax it off, boom, gone. Yes, we still used faxes. It wasn't that long ago, but yes, we used faxes. And then they started switching to email. So that was kind of cool for us too, because we could just scan it in, send it off, and we, anything. Anyways, so I filled everything out. Took out the bid bond that they had that we needed to fill out, send it off, boom, over and done with. All right, now I turn around, concentrate on looking at everything else. All the trades that we need to get off to, all the invites I need to send out, and getting everything and what we need to estimate. And start going through the plans and start kind of looking at all the details. All the usual stuff an estimator would start going through also. And as a PM, you would go through and start familiarizing yourself with the project, looking at the details and all that good jazz. So send it off. Everything looks good. I think within 4 days, we had, I believe it was 2 weeks to bid this project. So within the first week, we get our bid bond back. And like I've said, or like it's going to be in that other video, we get it back. We look it over, everything looks good. The project name is correct. The project number that is provided by the entity, good. The bonding amounts, everything looks good. The percentage-wise, yes, all right. Our company name is all spelled correctly. Our address, everything, all the information that their form asks for. Look it over, okay, good. We're good. The surety signed it. Everything signed. It was just the only thing really needed is the signature from our authorized person. Okay, cool. And everything looks good. Set it aside. Yes. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Concentrate on estimating the project, getting all the subs and everything. Okay. Doom, doom, doom. And it's funny because, not on this one actually. On the next story, our surety company actually sent over someone that they're training to issue the bonds and things. And so part of their training was to actually spend a few days of us leading up to and getting the bid, pretty much seeing the bid process from our perspective. So this person also knows what we deal with and the stresses that we deal with for when they're issuing bonds and things, so that they know also the time is of the essence and the pressures that we feel, as well as the pressures that they're probably going to be feeling. That way, they know the entire process. So anyways, that's on the for the next story. But for this story, so we get everything comes in time, and we're actually feeling really good about our price, and we've got everything covered. And the senior PM, she's looking at over everything with me. We're good, we're comfortable. All right, so bid day comes, make sure I got everything, got the bid bond. Yes, okay. Well, actually, she looks over everything, and I'm responsible for looking at all the, looking at the estimate, making sure we're covered completely. All right. So when I go to take off, I write down our number when I leave. And we leave that obviously blank on our bid package. So I got everything, make sure I got pens, blue, black ink pens. What do you call it? Not erasers, but the whiteout. I've got that with me. All right. Everything good. Let's go. Pretty much a little kit that I carry with me when I go. Boom, take off, get there. All right, look at my watch. Oh, awesome. When I pull into the parking lot, I've got 15 minutes. All right, I give myself 5 minutes to walk over there and kind of scope out the place. Look at, pretty much synchronize my watch to their clock. All right, so I've got, according to their clock, I got so much time. All right, give myself a 5-minute window of coming back and, making sure and get on the phone. So, all right, I'm hanging out. I go just outside the lobby, but not inside the building, just outside. Get on the phone. Okay, so this is what I see. I've had a head count of how many people are in there. If there's anything in, usually we have a basket or something to put bids in that they take away the second that the bid is due. They take it off the counter and everything, so I can kind of count, get an idea of how many bid packages are in the basket already. How many people are standing around with their envelopes in their arms or in their hands, scope out the place. And I usually go outside, not too far, and I'm scoping out to see if I see anybody else show up with envelopes that look like might be bid packages. So I sit there kind of doing the I Spy thing, talking to the boss at the same time, and she's like, okay, nothing new has come by, or yeah, I'm qualifying someone right now to see because their price came in a little bit lower, a couple $100 is usually, if our bids came in, within a few $100s of our regulars, instantly it was call them and said, hey, look, I got this guy, this other sub, and their number is very close to yours. And we usually would give them a percentage, it's within 7%, within 5%. Is there any way you can take a look at your price and come down? That either that or a little more. If you match it, if you just look, if I tell you within a certain percentage and they say, you know what, just match it. If they would match that, we went obviously with our, with our subcontractor that we had history with, that we knew they were reliable. We can count on them, that they covered everything, they have everything included. So, okay. No problem. So on this particular job, everything that was coming in was higher than our usual guys. Okay, we were good with our price, yeah. And the only thing, if that was the situation, then the senior PM would just kind of start playing with our profit. See, do we want to make that much? The percentage we're gonna make, the supervision. Usually we held that usually steady. So, that was kind of the last couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. She would play around with the numbers, unless something really stood out, then, and, it's not an art or it's not a science. Sometimes an art. You kind of have to trust your gut on things. Like someone comes in, boom, all of a sudden it's 5% less, but we're like really squeaking it in really last minute. We're like, because a lot of times in the public, on these public bids, you're supposed to list your subcontractors if they take up 0.5%, I believe it is, of the entire bid is from, if their number is larger than 0.5%, you have to list them. The trade, the company name, and usually their license number, I believe. Unless it's changed recently. But if it hasn't, then you have to list them. So then that's a pain in the ass because we already have our list printed. I would, white out whoever we needed to white out, and I just add the new sub at the bottom, of the list. No big deal. Okay, cool. But on this particular bid, no one was coming in less than that. So I'm looking, okay, hey, you know what? Because of the, obviously they have a clock there in the office, and that's the clock that the PM, my boss, the senior PM, goes by. And I usually tell them, okay, you know what? Per their clock, I only have another 2 minutes. I only have 45 seconds, that type of thing. So when we get down to only 60 seconds, I kind of had already started writing our price in. And okay, because you have to write it in not only in numbers but also in letters, in words, because they're to make sure to minimize the discrepancies. They go by the written word, so you need to make sure you write out your price in words correctly, no matter what the numbers say. All right, so I usually, by the time I'm down to like a minute and a half, I will start writing, because if it's too sloppy, they'll be like, we can't read it, it's out. Okay, cool. So I'm already started writing, and at that point, pretty much the senior PM will make that decision. All right, no, that's it. We're locking it in. That's it. We're done. If not, okay, let's wait another 30 seconds. Just kind of start writing the number in. Okay. So on this one, we felt really good, really strong price. All right, cool. And we were just under their engine or their estimated value. So she was completely comfortable with it. So was I. All right, cool. I wrote it in, sealed the package, the bid package, make sure everything was in there, sealed it, went, dropped it off with 45 seconds to spare, which was typical within the last minute, 2 minutes, 45 seconds, whatever. Turn it in. Cool. Everyone else, I saw there was a couple other envelopes already in there, more than I saw when I first got there. Okay, the people were hanging out, and usually it's an open bid. When a public bid is an open bid, so when they open them, they'll publicly announce. Sometimes they do announce all the contractors, the contractor's name and their bid amount, and they'll list it up there. Sometimes it's what they call a blind bid, so they won't name the contractor. They'll just be like contractor A, contractor B, and you can tell by your number. Okay, not a big deal. So when we were sitting there and they're opening them, and they get to us. And this was actually a blind opening. So you knowing your number, when they say contractor A, B, C, whatever, obviously, like I said, your number. They'll put it up there, but it'll say contractor whatever, and they say okay, and here's the value. They start flipping through. Okay, this is a responsible bidder, and so okay, finalize it, move on to the next one. So then they get to ours. I don't remember. We were like contractor D or E or something like that. I don't even remember, because they did shuffle them after they, removed the basket. They wasn't in order, so it didn't matter if you were the first one on there, the last one on there. Doesn't mean that's the order that it was turned in. So okay, so we were, like I said, I think like D or E, and so they went to open our bid. They started flipping through, and they look at it and said, this contractor, they had already read out the lump sum base bid. So then the person opening them is different than the person managing the computer and making the list, right? And you can see it up on the screen. And she turns to her, and she kind of turns to her, because they did have a microphone. It's a big room. Puts her hand over the microphone, starts asking the person next to her, and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to. I didn't want to mute the mic. I didn't mean to. I really put my whole. We're looking through to see the qualifications, and this it turns out this bidder is unresponsive, so they do not have a qualified bid, and they set it aside. But after they had read the price, I knew that was ours. Well, that's interesting. And so then they put it aside and said, we're not going to say the reason for which they have been deemed an unresponsive bidder, but you know who you are, and if you want to stick around, we'll talk to you. Okay. So, I didn't make it like, what the hell, or anything. I just looking and writing down the pricing, writing everything down. And so when the bid was done and everybody started leaving and everything, and that's when I kind of waited a little bit and I walked over and I asked, okay, obviously our bid was the one that was deemed unresponsive. So why were we disqualified? I just want to know. I don't really care. And so they said, or they gave me my bid package back, and they said, we're really sorry, but the bid bond was not signed by your company. I go, oh, very surprising. That person, part of their job, very important job, obviously. Okay, thank you. And, they gave me the bid package back. So I walked outside, and I started looking and go, oh, sure enough, my boss, the senior PM, since she was also the VP of the company, her signature was needed to be on there in order to, make the bid bond valid. Okay, so I call the boss and, she's like, how do we do? And I go, well, we didn't. And she's like, oh, well, we didn't win it. Okay. So I go, we weren't even in the running. And she goes, how so? Was our price was it that big of a price difference? I go, no, like literally we were disqualified. We didn't even have a chance. She's like, why? I go, well, apparently someone forgot to sign the bid bond. And she goes, what? Who? I looked at it. Everyone signed. And as she said that, she stopped herself. And when she said that, I go, yeah, you forgot to sign it. And she's like, no. And I go, yes. I didn't check it because, it's never happened before. She's like, well, it's never happened when you were here. And I go, oh, okay. She's like, I have forgotten one other time. I go, well, this is 2 now. I don't mean to be, mean or anything, but I mean, it's just pointing out the facts. She goes, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Oh, Oscar, okay. So now, right on the phone, you could tell me, now you need to check me. And I go, okay, all right. No, that's perfectly fine. And that's the way the relationship was there. The relationship was there because we were such a small company that literally it was she was the VP. She was the senior project manager. I was at that point, like I said, the PE, we had no assistant PM. It was just her and the office manager, the office manager at the time that was there. So, other than that, then it was her husband was pretty much, he was the president, CEO, and took care of field operations. So, that's where we were at with that. So every bid bond after that, I double checked before I left the office. To make sure that she had signed it, and she would double check, and before I left, as I'm flipping through, and she would ask me, Oscar, did I sign it? Did you check? I go, yes, I checked. You did sign the bid bond, and it's here. Okay, we're good to go. So that's the end of that story, which leads into the next story. A couple months after that, what was it? Yes, it was a few months after that we had a bit of a recession. Work was starting to dry up, even the public work. So when we were going to these bid openings, I mean, you went from, when work was good, you see, on a public works project, 4 or 5 contractors, sometimes less, bidding these projects because everyone was so busy. But when times started getting tough, we started seeing, first of all, the, by the way, you guys, I have my window open. So if you hear noises, that's what it is. I'm in a small room actually, and I can hear the ice cream guy. So if you guys get this, you guys are probably gonna want something from the ice cream guys. Anyways, so where was I? Oh yes, okay. So work started getting scarce, and that meant that we were starting to see 20, 30, 35 contractors bidding some of these projects that, public projects that were $200,000, $300,000, $150,000. It was kind of getting scary. And, we knew the economy was starting to, and things were starting to dry up because just from these numbers of the contractors that were showing up. So, or the amount of contractors showing up, not necessarily the quality of the contractor, but just the fact that we had that many contractors showing up to these bid openings, or because obviously they were bidding it, the projects. So, hang on a second, guys. Let me see. I gotta take care of something real quick here. Let's see. All right, I'll be right back, guys. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I just had to do something real quick. So, anyways, back to the story. Yeah, so it was getting scary. We had a whole bunch of, even these small, like I said, these small projects were getting, 30, 40, 50 guys bidding. It was getting nuts. Anyways, so that brings me to my next story, or this is the story I'm telling right now. Sorry. Um, so another public entity, actually, this was a school district. So we came in and yeah, we're okay. We got the contract documents. We got all of our ducks in a row. Bid bond is here. Yes, signed. I double checked. As soon as it got here, the boss looked at it. We actually looked at it together, and looking at it, And at this point, I'm really, really getting closer, really, to becoming an assistant PM. But we still, like I said, since it was such a small office, such a small construction company, even though we still were able to do multi-million-dollar projects. Don't get me wrong. I mean, very reliable. When I was there, when I started, yeah, the company was already over 30 years old. They had been contracting for over 30 years, public works, and everything, for 30 years. So it was nothing new. But anyways, so another is a public school district, and so we got all our stuff. We're good, everything awesome. So we were. Oh, and this is the one where 3 days, yes, 3 days prior to our bid opening, our surety came to pay us a visit just to see how everything's, which they did periodically, and it was nothing like just to see how things are going. No, it was more like, hey, just stopping by so that we always had a face that we could, count on, or we could put a face to the name. And also, it was the first time. Was it the first time? Actually, yeah, everything was so busy, but because this was one of those projects where everything was starting to slow down, they had more time also. So they came to pay us a visit, and like I said, this person is a young gentleman, a little younger than I was at the time, and he was getting into the business, as far as the surety goes. And so they wanted him, as part of his training, to spend a couple of days with us as this bid was coming up, because this was, like I said, this is a public bid opening, a public project. So then he can see that end, and like I said, also from our perspective of what we go through. So, and it was a pretty diverse project. So it was really good, really good. He saw, he was there, and so I would, kind of go through, and so he actually volunteered. Hey, do you mind? Can I put the numbers in? I go, hey, that's perfect. Because as the bids come in, I can take my time, not worry about, oh my gosh. And he was good. He, like I said, he was a little younger than me. Great, technology wise, figuring things out and stuff. Excel, he was great at Excel, which is what we use. We're, like I said, we're a small office. We didn't have the software like to keep track of everything and stuff. It was all elbow grease, really. All right, perfect. Take over, go ahead, start looking. But at the same time, when things come in, we would look at stuff together. So I would kind of take him through, okay, this is what I'm checking for, here are the plans. So, I got to make sure. And not only that, I have everyone else, any other subs of that same trade, to make sure that everyone is not only making sure that everyone has everything that they need to cover, under their scope of work, but also that all the bids obviously are apples to apples. Let's make sure that we're comparing everything the same, on the same level. Okay, and so I was he was kind of teaching him as I'm going through. So then actually I was able to dig in more, and he would go put in the price. I go, okay, this looks good. Go ahead and go over there, put the price in, and I'm going to start really digging in to make sure that they've got everything covered, and even calling the estimators and saying, hey, did you make sure that you got this? I see your line is this. It's a little vague, so I need to double check and make sure that you guys, and hey, sometimes they had to revise their submittals or their bids, because I was like, all right. Or if it's a very small change, if it's like, oh, by the way, did you make sure that there's a single exhaust fan? Did you make sure you included that? Because I don't see it here. It just says, everything entailed, blah, blah, blah. He said, yes. The exhaust fan is included in my price. Okay. Do you mind? I will write it down. I will note the time I called you, the day I called you, your name, and what we discussed. So I can write it on on your bid that you actually, you said you did include it. Yes, that's perfectly fine. Some of them say, I'm making the change right now and I will send it to you. Look for it in your email within the next 5 minutes. Perfect. I love that one also. So it allowed me to take the time to do that less stressfully while he's taking care of putting it in. And I can actually call, go, hey, I think, I don't even know if his name was Brandon. Go, hey, Brandon, how's that look? Yeah, is that good? Make sure all the math works out, things like that. We're good. Yeah, okay. All right. And then he would bring the paper back. When he was done with that, he would bring the paper back and we would, do it that way. Okay. Everything's going great. He's got that. He comes back, now on the third day is bid day. Ooh. So he's like, all right. He tells me in the morning, let me know if I'm in the way. Just let me know. I'll move. No. Come on. We're working together. I'm really you're doing great. This is actually a lot of help. Okay, cool. We're doing so. He gets to drive. He gets to drive me. So, I think it was probably when we looked on the map, it was about a 30-minute drive. But even if it, using Google Maps, it usually accounted for traffic. But we still left a good 10 to 15 minutes even before that. All right, cool. So we got everything. I go, okay, here. And so I go, this is what this is my little kit pretty much. I make sure I take blue or black, a blue pen, a black pen, because it has to be blue or black, doesn't matter. Blue pen, black pen, make sure they write. They got plenty of ink. Okay, cool. Whiteout, we got that, Okay, cool. We got everything, extra piece of paper to, to write down notes or different prices and scratch them out, things like that. Okay. Boom. Get in the car, we leave. We're driving down, and I go, okay, and I'm talking to the boss on the phone already, and no, nothing's come in. All right, everything looking good. Yeah, like usual, I'm playing with the numbers, this and that. And so, okay, and so I don't know what it was. I have no idea why. Just I got that inkling. You get your spidey senses tingling, and I started flipping through. Okay, I got lump sum base bid. Okay, I got the second page. It has, where you actually write your number. The first page has all your information, company information, address, all that stuff. Flip through that. Okay, blank, where the price goes. Perfect. Start flipping through. General condition. Holy shit, where's the bid bond? Flip through the rest of them. Shit. Hey, I had already hung up. I was going to call them as we were getting close. I go, shit. And the guy driving from the surety company is going, what? And I go, I don't see the bid bond. He's like, what? Do you need me to turn this bitch around? I go, hold on. Let me call. I'm looking through the, you go, hey, I don't see the bid bond. Is it? Oh my God, it's sitting here on the counter. Why didn't I not put that in the Oh crap. Turn around. He's like, all right, I'm turning this bitch around. Literally, dude, I kid you not. We didn't wait we weren't even, the light was probably, I don't know, a good maybe quarter mile away. There's no one on the street, and the light's red. And he's like, "There's nobody here." He looks behind him. He looks in front of him. Okay, I'm gonna flip this bitch, and he literally pulls a U-turn in the middle of the damn street. Like, all right, and he goes, he takes off. We get back to the office. The boss, she comes out. She's outside waving the bid bond. All right, it's signed. I made sure it's here. All right, I go, okay. I mean, we literally slowed down. Didn't even come to a stop. And she's yelling at me through the phone. And then, we're standing there. Like, okay. And I make sure I grab it. All right. And the guy is like, you got it? Yes. Okay. Boom. We take off. I swear to God, man. It was freaking hilarious. Oh, okay. I got it. All right. So he goes. And so, I've got that. He has his phone. He's got the GPS on his phone to make sure where, the directions is yelling at him. After you turn around. Now continue, make a right turn. Oh my gosh, that was the funniest. Out of all the bid day stories, that was the funniest one. So we go, and we're not done yet, guys. We go, all right. In the time that it took us to turn around, come back, take off again, and we're hitting the lights again. Now we're hitting all red lights. We had all green lights before. We're hitting all red lights. Oh my God, I don't know that we're gonna make it. No, he's like, fuck this shit. You've worked too hard. We have worked too hard to let this get away. I'm going. All right, man. Yeah, I mean, not I'm going like he's going to run the red lights. No, but he's flooring it in between. I mean, we did catch some yellows. Luckily that he was going quick enough that we didn't get those reds. But he's going like, oh man. And of course, what do we hit? Construction on the damn street around the school district office. Oh my God. All right. And here we go. He goes, okay. He's going here and here. And he's like, dude, I'm just going to leave you here in the front. I see a parking spot over there. Just get out. And I go, all right. Same thing, man. He slows down. I get out. The door shuts behind me. I don't even have a chance to swing the door shut behind me. That he steps on the gas and that just slams the door behind me. All right. And I go, I'm running. I'm walking really fast. I'm going, and I'm looking at my watch. I go, oh my God. And he comes running behind me. And I go, and the people go, the arrows, follow the arrows. Running down the hallway. Oh my God. I swear to God, we had to make at least 7 turns at this place. I'm like, oh, where in the hell is this office? We're running down. We get in there. All right. I stop. And I'm writing in the, I'm like, forget it. I'm not even calling the office. The last price that we had, that's the price we're going with. I write in and the person's standing there. You've got 15 seconds. I'm writing. I'm frantically writing. Okay. It's shoving papers into the envelope, stuffing it, and looking at the freaking thing, closing it. And I kid you, as I'm handing the paper to the person, as they're touching the paper, they shove that there's a sticker, pretty much a label with the timestamp on it. So as soon as they touch the envelope, they shove the label into the stamp. And go ka-chunk. 1:59 and 56 seconds, you guys. I kid you not. That number is forever. That time is forever ingrained in my brain, dude. 1:58 and 56 fucking seconds, man. 4 seconds away from not making this bid. Oh my God. That is the literal heart attack that I have had on bid day. And I see her put it on top of a stack of 20 other fucking bid packages. Oh my God. Oh, and I called the boss. Do you want me to stay? She said, yeah. Just stay and get that information, write it down. And when you guys are done, just have him drop you off at the office. Just go home. I'm shutting everything down here. I go, oh my God. Okay. So luckily I didn't have any lunch or anything to grab from inside. So I'm like, oh my God, that is the craziest freaking the bid day story I have, guys. So with the moral of the story, check for errors on your bid bond. Make sure it's signed by everyone that needs to sign it. And on bid day, make sure it's in your bid package before you leave the fucking office, guys. Oh my God. Had I not had someone with me driving me, I would not have seen that we didn't have a bid package until I got to the fucking place. And there was no way I would have been able to, drive back to, especially with the construction going on around the district office. I kid you not. And what happens, I believe we're like 7th. When they're reading out the thing, like, oh, all that work. The mini heart attack I just had, and we still weren't even in contention, really. The first guy, the apparent low bidder, actually turned out, they backed out, so they had to take the second guy anyway, so. Oh, all right, guys. Don't forget those lessons when you were talking about. Okay, so to recap, look at your bid bond requirements and make sure you get those to your surety ASAP. When you get it back from your surety, make sure that there's no errors on it from the project title to the project number on their end that they've provided. Make sure it's the right bonding. You have enough capacity for it. And make sure that the surety, like I said, no errors on it, that the percentage or the bid amount, whatever, well, not the bid amount, but the estimated value, all that stuff, make sure that's all fine. Make sure the person at your company makes sure that they've signed it. And preferably as soon as you guys get it, and make sure there's no errors, sign it. And make sure it's in the fucking bid package before you walk out that door. guys, that's when you need to check it to make sure that you have it. All right. Everything else doesn't matter until you get there and, fill in the price or whatever. Make sure you get it there on time. Don't have a mini heart attack like I did at the age of 26, guys. All right. That's the last thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Construction is, on the management side is always stressful. As an estimator, it can be stressful. But when you have to fucking deal with shit like this, hopefully it only happens to you once. If at all, guys. Okay? So just try to avoid those errors. Because shit, let me tell you, too many of those and you're going to be old and gray by the time you're 30. But anyways, with that, keep an eye out for that video that, I did kind of explain, a little more detail, well, somewhat a little more detail about the purpose of the bid bond. Now, in the video, I only cover the bid bond. I believe I mentioned the performance and payment bonds, but I don't go into detail with those. Not yet, at least. I'm going to do videos for those later on, do a little more in-depth type of thing. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. It should be coming out within the next week, hopefully before the next stream on Wednesday. All right. So always keep those in mind. As a PM, hopefully you're not going to have to deal with that stuff. But like I said, this was a small company and I was the PE at the time. But no matter what, even as an assistant PM, I still participated in the, as an assistant PM, I always participated still in the estimating and turning in bids. When they brought me up to PM, it was more of easing, or the whole goal was for me to become a PM at the company. And since we were such a small company, to ease the burden on our senior PM, because she had a bunch of stuff on her plate too. So then this way we were actually able to take on more projects where she was handling. We actually even as a senior PM, we ended up kind of trading roles where I was taking on more of the projects, like especially the little bit smaller projects, to allow her to concentrate on the bigger projects that we had, which was, like maybe one or two at the time. So I would take care of the smaller projects, scope wise and value wise. I was taking on more of the smaller ones. But at the same time, I was assisting her on the large projects because, like I said, they were multi-million-dollar projects. So I kind of helped, especially on the technology side, so that, email. I mean, she was really good. I mean, don't get me wrong. For her age, they kind of had to go that route. The president, which was also, a lot of times he superintended the larger projects, the husband, because he's the one that actually started. It was his company more than anything, but he always saw her as an equal. So they always went 50-50 on everything. So he was, even though he was the president, CEO, she was the VP, but it was a 50-50 split, the stake in the company between the two of them. It was always that way, which is great. I loved it. Didn't make anything weird. Always everything was fine. Split 50-50. They always consulted each other on everything. And so that made it a lot more easier for me because I could go to either one or both of them on a lot of stuff. And, they never made it awkward or anything like that. So that was great. I loved it that way. But anyways, so yeah, the way we worked it, worked out great. And, like that. So as far as bonding, the president, he always had that in the back of his mind too whenever I asked him things. And like I said, I was taking more of the burden off of her, so she could concentrate on the larger things. I still helped in the estimating. That was always kind of a group effort. Scheduling wise, also I helped the big boss schedule projects, the bigger projects, while still scheduling my own and things like that. So it was as stressful as it was for me being part of a small company, moving up, learning more things. I still had to, a lot of times small things for the guys. I had to go get materials, bring them to the job site, the small stuff, especially with the stuff that we did in-house and whatnot. Taking care of emails and all of my projects, getting materials for my projects, things like that. So all in all, stressful, but I got it. Like I've said in my other stream, one of my earlier streams, I loved it. It was so unique, so much different day to day. They always talk about the day to day operations, but not only was when I moved up to PM, I still took the responsibilities of the PE. Sometimes I had to, also be like a part-time superintendent to my projects, as some of them were small enough where we had my lead foreman for our framing drywall guys. I kind of said, hey, I need you to kind of be a superintendent out here. At the same time, I'm still going to be around, but there's, obviously with all the other projects going on, I got to go here, I got to go there. So you're going to be my superintendent. And, he was, in a way, he didn't want to do it, but at the same time, he understood that with this responsibility, we also gave him some perks. So he kind of saw the offset of that, taking on a little bit more responsibility. And we said, hey, if you can do this and learn to be a little more of a superintendent type of foreman, and take care of more stuff, we can keep you employed more, because once we're done with framing and drywall, all the little pickup things that come up, you can stay on this project, even though you're going to have a supervisory role. And you're going to learn a little more about plumbing and about mechanical and about the inspection stuff that goes with it. I'm still going to be here as much as I possibly can to oversee those things, but there's going to be times when I'm not here, when something comes up, and I need you to be able to make those decisions and direct the people. And he was really good. He started learning how to read plans, the mechanical, the structural, and I taught him how to read those things, the mechanical and the plumbing, the electrical. That was a biggie. Because he could obviously read architectural stuff as far as the framing and drywall stuff. That was not an issue. But yeah, I had to take the time to kind of show him the ropes a little bit more of the other trades, and making sure, the coordination, how to look for things when the other trades asked. So that was really cool, because we were kind of all stepping it up. We were all stepping up our game as time went on. So it was really cool. But like I said, I would not have traded that for the world. You tell me you're going to pay me more money as an engineer, but I have to sit in an office all day? I would not. As much as you might hear people saying that they would, I would not trade that for the experiences that I got to experience, that I got to experience, all the different things that I was exposed to. And every day is a little different, and every job is different from the other. Now, you can make the argument on an architectural side, on an engineering side, or, that, as a designer, that every job is different. And I would argue, yes, they are different. Every job has its own set of solutions. But the fact that I have to do the research and solve these things, for the most part, sitting in front of a computer in an office, applying my trade or my career. That's my career. In front of a computer in an office, where my interaction is getting up, walking over to the drafters, walking over to my boss, walking over to the designers, anyone else that a coworker, to ask them something, or being lazy, you pick up the phone and ask them, even though you can walk over there, because you're in front of the computer doing my research on the computer. And yes, I'm going to make more, but my solutions come from, the sphere of influence is this big, right? Let's say the microphone right here. This is my office. This is where I work. Well, this is the office building, the office or the offices of my architectural firm or my engineering firm that I'm part of. And this is where I'm getting my solutions. Now, every so often, I might be able to travel over here, to just where the my mic holder is, right? And that's about as far as I go for my solutions. But yet, when I work for the general contractor, when I'm a project manager, my solutions I work here. This is my company that I work for. But our job site is over there. And I visit the job site and I can find solutions on the job site. I can find solutions sitting at my computer. I can go to the subcontractor's office to talk to them and hash out a solution. And all the time, my work doesn't revolve around this. It revolves around this, that, the architect, the engineering office. Now, all of a sudden, think about it, guys. If this is Earth, my sphere of my work is not centered just there, like on our planet, but you expand it out to our solar system, or even our, if our projects, if we have to, what do you call it? Crap, that thing's not in the right spot. But if we have to coordinate with people from out of state, from engineering firms and things out of state, or even internationally, it's like expanding our scope into the entire galaxy or even the universe. I'm not limited to where I can work. And like I've said before, I love going out there and I love talking to the guys, even talking to the architects or the engineers, where I can point and show them, look, it doesn't work. But here's what does work. And for them to say, oh, yeah, okay, I see. All right, yeah, no, I think that'll be fine. I'll run the numbers and, just write me an RFI and I'll reply and, just you, but you can move forward. And as long as I document that, I can keep the project moving forward, and I can find solutions in multiple different places. I'm not relegated to the confines of an office. Hell, even one project, because I can take what I learned from one project and apply it to another project. And yes, architecturally and engineering wise, you can do the same, but you're kind of limited to your trade. But because even an architect has only so much as far as the tools that they can use or that are at their disposal. Where ours, we can apply the different things to the different trades and to the different projects all the time. And actually, our knowledge can actually surpass that of some of the design professionals, guys. We can come up, and you know what? We can be even more open-minded about our solutions sometimes than they can. Sometimes we do school. If you're pretty bright and you actually pay attention and keep a lot of things in mind, as PMs, we might not have all of the schooling that an engineer has or an architect has, but because of our experience, we can actually turn around and school them. My boss did it all the time. And for that, I am grateful that I got to work with the company that I got to work with and the people that I met working at that company. Guys, this is what I say. Or, like they always say, if you find a job that you love and you love what you're doing, you will never work another day in your life. It's semi-true, because it is work. It takes work, and you're gonna, it's not always fucking rainbows and butterflies, guys. There's stress, and there's those times you just but I wouldn't trade it for the world, guys. That's my career. I left my engineering career to become a PM at a construction company, and I love doing it. I wouldn't trade it for the world, guys. It's allowed me to have a lot of knowledge I would not have been able to attain just becoming a structural engineer. So, anyways, that's enough about that. Sorry, I got off topic. Bonds, they're a necessary evil, but just as we're protected by insurances and things, entities need certain insurances to be protected from things like that. All right. So that's going to be it for today, which is Saturday's stream. I'm not quite sure if I should continue this conversation about the other bonds. Kind of feel like I should, just to kind of get them all out of the way, instead of circling back around to them. So I think we'll probably talk about, or I'll talk about performance bonds on Wednesday, the next stream here. And yeah, so if you the kind of the things I was telling you to keep in mind are going to be in the video that I'm going to release. Hopefully, like I said, by the time the next stream comes up for performance bonds. And then, next, so that means if on Wednesday I cover performance bonds, on next Saturday, I will cover payment bonds. All right, so join me here, like I said, Saturdays and Wednesdays at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. And if you guys like these streams, the content, do me a favor, guys, hit the like button. And on any of the videos that you guys even learn something or even just hit that like button. All right, it really helps out the channel. I know I'm just getting started, but as soon as we get that community going, it's going to be great. All the different stuff we can do. All right, so make sure you guys, when you're out there, keep your head on a swivel. Always keep an eye on what's going on around you. Be aware of your surroundings anytime. Whether you're in the office or out in the field, you never know when they're going to swing that boom the wrong way, or if you're in the way of a boom or any other material. Always keep an eye out, watch out, always keep an ear out for when someone's hollering. All right, you have to also keep in mind different trades might holler a different way for their kind of like their watch out. So keep that in mind, guys. All right, so with that, I'm going to end the stream today. But like I said, keep an eye out for the video on bid bonds. Wednesday, I will be talking about the performance bonds. And then Saturday, catch me here again for our final discussion, I guess, concerning payment bonds. All right. So those, I don't really have a story for those. Oh, well, actually, no, fuck this shit. I do have stories for each of those. All right. and a few other things to keep in mind when you guys are bidding projects concerning payment and performance bonds. All right. So I will see you guys in the middle of the week on Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. So like I said, please, if you guys like the videos or including the streams, or if you just learned something, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. It really will help getting this channel taken off and help me achieve my dream of creating pretty much a foundation to help anybody else in the construction industry looking to get in there, can't afford tools, can't afford classes if they want to do classes. I want to be able to offer scholarships and products, stuff like that, from not me, but from the community that you guys help me build. So anything that you guys can help with as far as donations, I will not take a single penny for personal gain. All right, every single penny that comes in from viewers, from all of you guys, whether from subscribers or not, when we get subscribers and we get people to follow us, we're going to be doing this where 100% of whatever gets donated is going to be turned around and given back out to the community in the form of scholarships for classes, whether it's blueprint reading, cabinet making, fucking welding at the local community colleges or even trade school. I want to give all of that back. If you guys don't know how you guys can help, it's going to be through this channel. This community, I want us to fund this community to donate so that through me and the channel, we can fund the education of others that want to get into the construction industry, whether it's in the management field, whether it's out as laborers or as tradesmen, anything construction related. I want us to be able to get together and help them out and offer scholarships and tools for those that need it, trying to get out there, that maybe their family doesn't have the funds, doesn't have the means to provide that support for them. I want us as a community to be able to offer that support. Because, guys, without construction, I've said this before, without construction, society can only go so far. Without construction, the medical field, medical advances can only go so far. And by the way, that reminds me, I owe you guys a story. About what the estimators use, and that company that is just making their presence known like you have no idea. Okay, I will try to remember to tell you guys that story on the next stream. All right, but anyways, guys, thank you for anyone that subscribes, that hits the like button, that joins this community, so that we can go out there and fucking kick some ass and take some names and help fund this construction industry or education to keep the construction industry strong, guys. All right, so until next time, don't forget, make sure you guys are out there staying alert and wearing your PPE. All right, no matter what, I want you guys to stay safe. See you in the next one.